This is Judge Joe Brown, and we're listening to We All Be News. News-free Dixie for the 21st century.
Whenever you are.
All right, cool. So I'm here with Sister Ashley and Brother Jared. Y'all are close friends and confidants and this acolyte sort of Sister Margaret Block, the great Sister Margaret Block. May she rest in power. I'm just trying to get a couple of stories to feel about Sister Margaret Block. People need to know about her from y'all perspective.
Yeah, I mean, we've been knowing and loving Margaret since about 2004. Jared and I reenacted the Freedom Ride for Justice with Ben Chaney, who's the younger brother of James Earl Chaney, one of the 3 civil rights workers that was murdered in Neshoba County in 1964. And she's been getting me in trouble ever since. She changed my life. I have been committed to struggle and participated in civil disobedience and worked across many different front lines, and all of it was influenced by Margaret. So she was part of the reason that I became as an adult acclimated to movement, but she also was a force that sustained me in it. She was always there for young people whenever they needed her for advice or to laugh or to get a kick in the pants to actually do work that mattered. And so I mean she was family, and we love her, and we love her family, and are thinking about and praying for them.
Yeah, I mean, Margaret was one of the most courageous and funniest people that I've ever met in my life. And one thing that just really stands out to me about her was how much she loved young people, how much she wanted to make space for young people to be engaged in struggles. And that's not always the case with folks who are doing activist work, but she was very intentional about making sure that young people could be involved.
Exceptional Margaret Block stories we need to know about. We should share.
I'm trying to think of what I can say.
I mean, freedom of speech.
I mean, I think, especially in a moment where so many black women are stepping up to the plate and leading movement, Margaret is one of those people whose shoulders we stand on. And I have 1,000 good stories about Margaret. I'll tell maybe 2. So one of them was back in 2007. This is a story that got told during the ceremony today. I get a call from Margaret, and she's like, "Hey, Ashley, I need you to come to Memphis." And I'm from Tennessee. My dad is from Memphis. So we drive the 6 hours, Jared and I, to Memphis and meet up with Margaret. And I'm like, "So what's going on, man? Tell me what's up." And she's telling me about how corporatized the Civil Rights Museum is becoming, and about how the board at that time, I think, was 80% white, and how D. Army Bailey was being really disrespected as a founder of the museum. And she was like, "We're going to go march in solidarity with the Army, who's saying we've had enough. We want to make sure that there's youth programs. We want to make sure that it's controlled by black people who are directly impacted, yada yada yada." So I'm like, "Cool, Margaret, I am down. I'm with you." So I'm thinking, Jared and I are just going to get in where we fit in the back of the march. Margaret grabs me and she's like, "Come on, we're going to the front." And she sees the Army. The Army's like, "Get up here." So I'm like, "Oh, you go, get up there, and I'll march behind you or whatever." She's like, "Get up here. We need a young person up here. It ain't no young people up here." So I'm like, "All right, Miss Margaret." So I get up there and I'm marching with these heroes and sheroes. So in between Margaret and the Army Bailey and so many other freedom fighters from the South and that are from all over the country. And so we finished the march, and I'm like, "Okay, I served my time. I did my duty. I'm gonna stand in the number, and I'm gonna watch Margaret do her poetry and speak and freedom sing." And as I'm walking away, she's like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "I'm going to get in the crowd. I'm about to watch you speak." She was like, "No, come up here and sit on this dais with me." So I get dragged up to this dais, and she's like, "I want you to talk about what it means as a young person for them to be attacking the National Civil Rights Museum." And so, Margaret taught me to always be prepared, because anywhere you're at with Margaret where she's expected to do something, you're probably going to end up having to do something too. And then the other story I would share is that we brought her to Chattanooga. We've only brought her to Chattanooga one time in the almost 11 years we've known, or more than 11 years that we've known Margaret now. now, and we came expecting that she was going to like speak at this community college. She was going to like build with local organizers, and after she had done all of that, she's like, hey, like what's there to do in Chattanooga? Like, let's turn up. I'm like, Margaret, like, what do you mean let's turn? What turn up? So she's like, yeah, I'm serious. So we go to this black-owned lounge, Mocha, in downtown Chattanooga, and folks were performing, singing, DJing, whatever. The next thing we know, Margaret's up on the stage spitting poetry. It's like in the middle of the night in downtown Chattanooga. And so, over the last week, as we've been thinking about her and posting about her online on our Facebook pages and Twitter and whatnot, so many people that definitely didn't know Margaret for as long as we did, but got to see her speak at Chattanooga State, or that got to see her spit poetry and like sing freedom songs on the stage at Mocha at the middle of the night while everybody was turning up, were touched by her. And I think that's like the epitome of who Margaret was, right? I think Jared's right to say that she was very courageous and hilarious, but I think she was also like so powerful of an organizer that like you couldn't not remember her. Once she touched you, once she like shook your hand, when she gave you a hug, like you knew that you were her family, and she rolled with you, and she rolled hard for you, and she made sacrifices for you. And so I think like it's just really powerful to see how many people have been touched by Margaret and how many people loved her, whether they could be here in Cleveland today or not.
Jared, any stories from your end?
Yeah, I was just thinking about how we were actually in Mississippi, not too far from Cleveland, at Kilmichael for a family funeral of Ashes, and we knew she was close by, so we just called her up and said, hey Margaret, we're in Kilmichael. She was like, what? And she was like, well, come on by. And we were just, expecting to go sit, and talk to her for a little bit. And she was like, have y'all ever been to Fannie Lou Hamer's grave? And we said, no, we haven't. She was like, okay, get in the car, let's go. And she took us all around the Delta, took us out for dinner, and that's a really great memory I have of Margaret.
Was it airport grocery?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. No, I mean, there's just so many stories sitting in that field in the Neshoba with her every year for 4 or 5 years. I don't even remember how long. Or, when I was like really blessed to become a member of the Highlander Center's board, the Highlander Research and Education Center. After Jared and I got married, she sent a wedding present of this like series, this like collage that she had made of like news articles and photos of folks at Highlander. So she remembered everything. She like really, really cared about you as an individual person, and she put in effort to prove that like you mattered to her. She really cared about you. So yeah, we'll never forget her. Like I really appreciate what you said, Ron, about like how like Margaret will never die. Like she lives forever in every story and every song and every like poem that we'll ever read. Like Margaret her legacy is alive and well, and her work is still to be continued. And so I think what I hope that people got out of what it meant to lose her like in the physical realm is that we need to be coming at fighting for social justice with the same kind of energy that she had till the day she passed, to the day that she transitioned, and with the kind of commitment that is a lifelong struggle. So I'm really blessed to have known her, and like I believe that we'll be able to be free sometime in my lifetime because of the work that she started.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think one thing I think about Margaret is she had just as much courage and commitment as a lot of more well-known folks who've been activists and civil rights veterans. But Margaret was a grassroots freedom fighter till the end. I remember every once in a while, like, maybe once or twice a year, we would get a letter in the mail from Margaret, and it would just say, like, it would have a handwritten note that would say, look at this shit, or something. And it would be what she was working on at the time, because she was always still working.
They got segregated schools in Cleveland. It's 2014. What are they doing? What are you doing? That's right.
Well, I want to thank y'all on behalf of Sister Margaret and Words Great Together. We love y'all madly, and keep on producing and pushing.
Absolutely. We love you, Ron.
All right, thank you. Get some food.